To all my listeners out there, I hope you all had a very, very Merry Christmas. And guess what? Yes, this is welcome to Is Your Way in Your Way and Happy New Year, everyone. And I'm your host for those who don't, and the first time ever hearing this podcast, Cassandra Crawley Mayo. Guys, I can't believe it. 2025 is here today. 2025. There's a saying that the older you get, the time goes by fast. So hold on. Hey, because every year, if you live to live for another year, time's going to be going really fast. Now, listen, since it's New Year's Day, like for me, many of us think about fresh starts or new beginnings or new goals, and the life that we want to create. Some of us even have what I call New Year's resolutions. And I used to have those, but you know what? I may have stuck with them for what they say, like 90% individuals, maybe now it's 80% of individuals make New Year's resolutions. And very few people keep them. And I believe they say, like in the first couple of weeks, they've they've been forgotten about. So listen, so before we dive into what's next, I want to really reflect on the incredible journey of 2024. We've together, many of us, you listeners, you've explored powerful insights, life-changing stories, transformative lessons through this podcast. I know that I have learned so much, and I hope you have done the same. There are some insights and lessons that I've learned that has actually made me change a bit. I'm seeing things really differently. I'm getting intentionally getting out of my way a lot here lately. So today, let's talk about how we can carry forward into 2025. But before we get to that, I want us to, well, let me say it like this. Some of you are starting this year feeling inspired. Some are uncertain or somewhere in between. But this episode is for you no matter where you are right now. So let's get ready for an honest, heartfelt, and actionable conversation about living a life of purpose, courage, and joy. Now, one of the things as I reflected on 2024, to me, like I indicated, these podcasts for me have been unforgettable. The guests have been incredible. They brought a lot of wisdom, vulnerability, practical strategies for growth. And as I think back on them, there were actually 5 themes that emerged that I believe are worth revisiting. Like one of them was authenticity. Authenticity is the foundation of change. Another thing was talked a lot was resilience is relentless. And then the third theme was about purpose gives life meaning. And the fourth one was connection is the key to growth. Now, these are the themes. And then the other one, the last but not least, is mindset. Oh my gosh. So let me talk about these themes a little bit. Now, they had a guest on by the name of Andrea Johnson was one. And the title of that podcast was called Just Be You. Start owning yourself. How she talked about let's just be authentic. We hear that word a lot, but what it really means, they share what they so many of my guests shared their breakthroughs began when they stopped trying to fit in and to mold or meet external expectation. And it's not just being yourself, it's about being brave enough to show the world your true self, even when it feels risky. I also had another one, Christine Klein Spraker. She was a guest of mine. And one of her things that she liked to please. She was a people pleaser. She just really struggled. And many of you listening have that challenge as well. And by her being so busy trying to please everybody else, she wasn't being her own authentic self. So she decided to, you know what, I'm gonna share my journey of stepping into my truth and the ripple effect it had on her life. So the story reminded me of this question that I'm going to ask you. What mask are you wearing? And I ask you, and I'll ask the same thing for 2025. What's one way you can show up more authentically in 2025? And I'll give an example of myself. I think many of you are aware that I wrote a book, and the book is titled Is Your Way in Your Way? And another thing, I'm writing another book, but I'll talk about that a little later. But it took me a long time because of my limiting beliefs, but it also took me a while because I didn't want to be authentic. I didn't want people to know my stuff. Now, everything's not in the book about me, but a majority of things. And the reason that I shared it, because I wanted people that read it, many of them to have a breakthrough moment. And many of them did because they were able to see themselves through my story. So that's kind of what it's all about. And another one, that other common thing was resilience. Resilience is relentless. Okay. I had a guest, Allison Ward was her name, and her mom passed, and it was unexpected. And boy, wow, she went through so many changes. And another guest that I had was named Ebony Gibson. And some of you may have heard her on Christmas Day. And now she's a grief coach. And it's just overcoming that personal loss that gives people setbacks. So we learn resilience isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about embracing them as opportunities to grow stronger. And I'm not dismissing loss or anything. I've had loss in my life and I've just been devastated. But there was a point where I can either be bitter about this thing or better, So I just change perspective a little bit about it. I know that death is inevitable. And these individuals, many of them, I tell you, after the death of these ladies' mom, they became not only relentless, but boy, were they resilient. They started doing things that they felt that they were called to do. They started working on their passion. The death of their mom made them say, you know what, there's something else that I should be doing. And this is an opportune time because one of the mom died very young. And this guest says, you know what? I could do the same thing, but before I go, there's certain things that I always wanted to do, so I'm going to do it. So even though the journey reminded us that resilience isn't just a trait, it's a skill we build through practice. So here's a question for you. What's one challenge you overcame in 2024? And how can you use that strength in 2025? Think about that. What challenge did you have overcome in 2024? I'm going to tell you mine. Mine was a lot of growth. Mine was learning new things. Mine was even the podcast. Oh my gosh, this was so new for me. Also, it was just overcoming that I can't do this. Who am I to have a podcast? Who's going to listen to my podcast? It just went on and on and on. So that's the challenge that I overcame in 2024. And I'm not saying I've arrived a podcast, but I want you to think about one challenge you overcame in 2024 and how can you use that strength in 2025? The other theme that was talked about a lot was purpose gives life meaning. Mm. How many guests have I spoken to? Like one in particular was Kristen Fields. Her background was in psychology, but as she worked in that field, she realized that that was something that she didn't really want to do. That wasn't her thing. It was so mundane, and to her, and to a meaningful and a life. And she started thinking, is this worthwhile what I'm doing? So what she started doing was she became a guru with podcasts. And she started, and one of the things that she does is she helps individuals that are interested in having podcasts and help them with the start. She trains them and she's doing some mighty things and she has helped countless number of people. So your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be aligned with who you are. And a lot of the guests, and I even say for myself that finding that purpose didn't happen overnight. For me, it didn't happen overnight. Over time, I had little purposes and things I did help me to what I'm doing today. It was a series of small, intentional steps that inspired me to think, How can I align more of my actions with my purpose this year? And I challenge you to do the same thing. So my thing is, how am I going to align more of my actions with the purpose this year? So not only am I starting my mentoring program, I'm going to do my workshop on how to create, design your best life. So I'm challenging you to do the same. And I'm going to ask you again, how can you align more of your actions with your purpose this year? And connection is a key to growth. A lot of people were talking about their communities, their tribes, how connection is essential. And whatever you do, you don't do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself. A lot of us, many of us, I won't say a lot, but um, you want to connect with people because you don't know everything, and there may be something that you want to do, but you need help in doing it, and you don't know everything. None of us knows everything. So whether it's connecting with ourselves, our communities, or something greater, relationships can fuel our transformation. So just think about the people who lifted you up in 2024. Who will you connect with in 2025 to support your journey? Think about that. It's a lot to think about. These are some actionable steps, guys. Now, the fifth one was mindset. The mind is the battlefield of, oh my gosh. I tell you, I'm just, the mindset is just is so powerful. And I laugh because I think about many of the guests that I spoke with. And I had one guest by the name of Jenny Harkerode. Jenny, oh my gosh, Jenny was a beast. She was a beast when she was a little girl. I mean, you couldn't tell her anything, right? And one day as she got older, she was very ambitious, entrepreneur, doing quite well. I actually doing very well. She fell. You got to hear her story. And she fell and broke her back. And she had chronic pain. Nothing. She said affirmations, doctors, um, um, therapists, chiropractors. She said nothing helped the pain until she met this doctor. And this doctor started talking about your mind and really helped her on that journey. And she has an app. It's called Leap app. LEAP, like a frog. And it's a green frog you're going to see if you download it. Boy, it is a powerful app. And one of the things she said to me, I'll share this. Holidays, especially Christmas and New Year's, were not ever my favorite. They were just sad. I don't know. It was all in the mind, though. It was when people spend time with families and friends, and it just wasn't a good time for me. And one of the things that she said that she has done when you're having one of those, we have like what 6,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative. And so when you have one of those thinking thoughts, for example, for me, I was like, I don't know about this holiday either, because all my holidays hadn't been so great. And one of the questions she said to ask yourself when you're going through those spiral moments, I would call them, is how would you rather feel? And I thought about that, and I'm like, well, I would rather feel so grateful for the holiday. What a blessing that I'm here. What a blessing I'm in my right mind. That's how I really rather feel. How a blessing that I want to be. I want to feel like I want to be a blessing to others. That's how I really want to feel. So I started thinking about the things how I really wanted to feel. And I forgot all the negative stuff. I'm so busy thinking about, I want to be a blessing to others. And so that really struck me. So whenever I'm dwindling, many of us young ladies, we like to call ourselves divas, right? So there are times when the diva's down. I call it the diva. There's a down diva, and if you're feeling down, think about how would you rather feel than what you're thinking then, and see whether that will help your mind to shift. I charge you to check out that podcast. by Jenny Harkleroyd about the mind. It is so powerful. Oh my gosh, I just can't get over it because what her app does is help you to be intentional about the mindset. I think she said it was like 7 seconds or something to change your mind. So I just take a moment though to think about these lessons that I talked about, like being authentic, finding meaning, purpose, connection with the key growth. Purpose gives life meaning. Also, think about resilience is relentless. The other one was about authenticity. Okay, so I'd like for you to just take a moment and think about these lessons and which one of those resonates most with you. How can you carry it forward into this new year? Think about it. Now, let me talk about the vision for 2025. So, let's shift some gears and talk about this. This year, my theme is courage to elevate. For this means to me letting go of fear, embracing bold actions, and stepping fully into my purpose. But I'm not just sharing this to inspire you. I want you to think about your own theme for the year. My theme is courage to elevate. You may take a moment to reflect and think about what your theme is, or what's one word or phrase that represents what you want in 2025. What do you want 2025 to be about? Maybe it's joy, or is it balance, or fearless? Whatever it is, let it guide your decisions and actions throughout the year. Think about that. So if I want courage to elevate, whatever I do, is this going to serve what my purpose is? Because I want to wake up in the morning excited because I have meaning. I know that I have purpose and there's something that I must do. And that drives me and that gives me a reason. I wake up in the morning and say, all right, now my feet hit the ground and I'm ready to work in my purpose. And so let's unpack some actionable steps. Um, for example, I'm I'm not, I know that I'm not, but I'm gonna say this because many people that's listen to my podcasts know that I say I'm a perfectionist. But choose progress over perfection. I've spent so much time, I was spending time trying to get everything just right, and I never progressed because I'm sitting up here trying to think about how can this thing be perfect. So how often do we wait for the perfect time to start? Like, you know what? I'll start 1st of January, or I'll start next month, or you know what? I'm gonna start exercising. And I always say, somebody told me the other day, I'm going to start exercising. I said, you know what? You judge yourself by your intentions, and others judge you by your actions. Let me say that again. What are you waiting for the perfect time to start? I'm going to go to school. I'm going to look for a home. I'm going to get out of this relationship that's toxic. I'm going to meditate more. I'm going to attend church. I'm going to pray more. Okay, that's what you say. So let's focus on the progress, not the perfection. And don't beat yourself up because you've not started yet. Just think about the progress over trying to get everything right. Once I do this, I'm going to do that. And once I do that, I'm going to do this. What's one small step you can take today to move closer to your goals? Another, unpacking the actionable steps. Embrace vulnerability. It isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. What's something you've been afraid to pursue because of fear? Fear of judgment, or just fear of failure or judgment. And when we have the fear, I was remembering something a guest said, and it was an aha for me. Fear is like protection. You're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to protect yourself from failure, or you're trying to protect yourself from what other people think about you. So get out of that, and don't be afraid of it. Pursue it, because what's the worst that can happen? So make 2025 the year you take that leap. And next, Let go to grow. What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Self doubt, um, toxic relationships, old habits. Like, I'm going to tell you one of mine. This dag on social media. Don't get me started. I will, I'm being intentional, but I will get up in the morning and look and say, okay, did anybody text me? Once that happens, I started scrolling through the reels. And I look up, it's a half an hour. That's something that I could have been doing something else. So what are you holding on that's not no longer serving you? What is that serving me to scroll through these reels? Sometimes they're really funny though, and that had me cracking up. And then I will copy it and paste it and send it to somebody. I'm like, come on, Cassandra. So this year, I'm challenging myself and you to let go of one thing that's holding us back. Just let go of one thing, okay? So be relentless about joy. Joy isn't something that just happens. There's a thing about, I want to be happy. I'm like, okay. But for me, I'd rather be joyful because happiness to me is a happening. I remember like, when I first got married, I was so happy. I was happy because that was something that I always wanted. I always wanted to have a husband and the kids and the white picket fence. Well, I didn't get none of that. I didn't get the white picket fence or the kids and all of that stuff. But what I'm looking for is joy. It's something we cultivate. How can you make joy a daily practice in 2025? Think about that. How can you create and cultivate joy? Make it a daily practice in 2020. How would I rather feel? That saying when we were talking about the mind, maybe I'd rather feel like I'm in a good place. I'd rather feel like I'm in a great place today. I'd rather feel like I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I'm in my right mind. I'm grateful that I know somebody that needs prayer and I want to pray for them. I'm grateful because I'm got somebody on my mind and I think I should give them a call. So when you give, it's amazing how it feels so good when you give. It's more blessed to give than receive. And I feel joyful about that. Now, remember though, 2025 is not just another year. It is an opportunity to write a new story for yourself. What will yours be? Think about it. What will your new story be? Wow. In my podcast, this is going to be on all platforms: YouTube, on Facebook, LinkedIn. Respond. Talk about what 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 narrative will you write? What's going to be different for you this year? So I'm going to challenge you as we wrap up. I want to leave you with this challenge. What's one thing, just one thing, you'll commit to doing in 2025? What you commit to doing differently in 2025? Maybe it's showing up more authentically, building resilience, aligning with your purpose. Oh my gosh, commit to doing differently in 2025, aligning with your purpose or deepening your connections, your mindset. Maybe you want to start journaling. Maybe you want to think about how would I rather feel and start thinking about how you'd rather feel that day. Be intentional. So let's step out of your own way and into the lives that you all were meant to live. Okay? So we did some unpacking. You got some actions to do. And I would love to hear from you about what it is that you're going to do for 2025. So I want to thank you again for being a part of this journey with me. Your support, your feedback, your comments have made this podcast a true blessing. So here's to a year of courage, connection, and unstoppable growth. Until next time, the best way forward is always through. Happy New Year. And let's make 2025 extraordinary together. If you'd like to connect with me, you can contact me on Mayo, Mayo, CassandraCrawley.com. I'm on all social media platforms. Um, I was resilient with that now because I wasn't that social media wasn't my thing, but because I'm clear on my purpose, and my purpose is to empower, I'm saying, a generation of women to pivot, to mitigate those self imposed barriers that's preventing you from living your best life on your terms. And yes, life is short. That is not a cliche. That is the truth. So, again, Happy New Year, and let's make 2025 extraordinary together. God bless, and bye for now.